Here is blog number 2.
Okay,
Shock
before you watch this blog, go watch the first one
Yeah.
about the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
'Cause
Because this will make no sense.
It won't. So watch Rocky first, not the rest of it.
After Fox Studios saw how quickly Rocky was catching on at midnight showings, they were pretty keen on building on that popularity with a sequel. So they had Richard O'Brien create Rocky Horror Picture Show Part 2, but because unavailability of some of the original cast, Richard O'Brien had to create a new adventure for Brad and Janet, and
They like
they got some. Because the script fell through, there was a new adventure for Brad and Janet, and it was them in Denton, USA, their hometown in the first movie, and it was going to be filmed in real life Denton, USA, in real life locations, and it was a satire on how addicted Americans were to television at the time. If you weren't on television, you don't really quite exist.
You're just a nobody.
And there was an actor guild strike in 1980 in the US, so all films made in the US were at a halt. They couldn't go forward, and the actors couldn't act in the US. So the movie was almost canceled until the director Jim Sharman had an idea of filming it in a theater and doing it as a play, and that gave Richard O'Brien the idea of setting the whole movie inside one soundstage in London and getting every US actor flying over to London and shooting there in one studio the whole time. And all the events Richard O'Brien created became game shows, and it was way before reality shows. And Richard O'Brien predicted that television would be covered with reality shows in the future. And so the story, Denton, USA, has been taken over by fast food sponsor Parley Favors, and every citizen in Denton becomes a cast member or a star on their own show or an audience member. And Brad and Janet, now married, are having very crappy marriage issues. So Janet takes Brad and herself to the studio, and they go on the game show Marriage Mains, where it's supposed to treat their marriage and help make it better.
Except,
the blind game host, Bert Schnick,
he just wants Janet for himself, so he's trying to get rid of Brad.
Bert Schnick,
No, who was it?
Parley Favors.
That one.
The sponsor wants Brad kidnapped and make Janet a star in the TV studio and see ratings soar, so she becomes his. And on the show, Bert Schnick, the blind game host, kidnaps, as a prize, sort of, has Brad stay on the local mental hospital TV show Denton Vale, and where they meet Dr. Cosmo and Nisha McKinley, and Richard O'Brien, Patricia Quinn, who played Riff Raff, Magenta, and Rocky, come back as totally different characters, but they're still siblings. And Columbia comes back as the nurse on the show, but not
still a
Columbia. Nell Campbell, little Nell. Yeah, she's still freaky as ever.
Yeah, of course.
And
Her hair's long now, though. Her hair.
the McKinleys convince Janet that to treat Brad, you have to have her rating soar. That's what will make him happy, and she goes along with it. And pretty soon, she becomes so popular in the studio that she's making her own decisions without McKinley's controlling her. So
Yeah, and just doesn't really want Brad anymore.
No. And she doesn't want Brad anymore, so
Poor
McKinley's put drugs in her drinks and things. And meanwhile, Judge Oliver Wright, who the same actor Charles Gray who played the criminologist in Lucky, talks with Betty Hapshot, who was the one getting married in the first movie with Ralph Hapshot. And they're convinced that there's a conspiracy going on because of people mysteriously disappearing on TV shows. And pretty soon the TV show is canceled because they know about what's going on.
And they're upset about that.
Yeah. They say they're off the air. And so they're secretly doing some background information on who Farley Flavors really is, and his connection to Brad, and why the TV studio has become so crazy. And citizens have been brainwashed, so they listen to whatever's showing on TV monitors or on the set.
Yeah, because that's all they start caring about, really.
Yeah.
So if you're not on TV, then you don't matter, ever.
And I can't really tell much more of the story.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch it. It's just like Rocky. Like, it's just things you have to watch.
It's totally different from Rocky. It's a whole different movie. Rocky was rated R, this one is PG, it's very tame, but the songs are very raunchy still. But it's more upbeat 80s music than it was classic rock and roll music.
But it's still good.
It's still very good. They're totally different movies, but Brad and Janet are pretty much the only reason why there's a sequel, I guess.
Yeah, because if it weren't for, like, the beginning with their problems and then more problems. Because, of course, there's always problems in marriage. You can ask my parents about that.
It's running a little long.
Cut stuff up.
Brad and Janet, the actors that played them in the first movie, don't come back. They're recast, but you'll get used to it very quickly.
She sounds like a man in the beginning.
Yeah, you'll get used to her voice.
She starts sounding like a chick later.
There's very little things from Rocky, like little props.
Oh, we should do a different video about that.
Okay. Our next vlog, we'll talk about
the little things that you just like, you have to
little
look.
references to Rocky and Shock Treatment.
Yeah.